Welcome to the series where I test out the OSRS Wiki money making guides. I started this series almost a year ago, and since then we've tried out multiple methods even if they're a little silly, such as picking bananas or even flax. If you enjoy these types of videos, then feel free to check out the playlist that I've made for them, and feel free to leave a suggestion down in the comments for a method that you'd like to see tested. With that being said, let's get into the video. So for today's moneymaker, as you've already seen by reading the title of this video, we will be collecting steel Platebodies and casting high alchemy on them. Now, this is a dangerous moneymaker. We are doing this in the wilderness, so make sure that you don't bring anything you're not willing to lose into the wilderness. You could bring armor and weapons to help you survive, but you're ultimately bringing more risk. So for this moneymaker today, we're just going to be taking the bare necessities. As you can see, we have the fire staff and our nature runes to cast high alchemy. We also have 3 air runes and a law rune to cast Varrock teleport once we're done. And we have a knife to slash the webs once we get to the area where we are picking up the steel Platebodies. Now for this, you can bring whatever food you want. Personally, I'm just bringing swordfish because I think it's just, keep it simple. But if you do choose to bring pizzas, I mean, those heal, I think, 18 hit points, but you do have to eat them in 2 bites. And I think they might be able to be used as combo food, at least for the first half. So if you want to be, if you want to up your chances of survivability a little bit, maybe bring some pizzas. Besides the food, we have an energy potion to help us with running, and we have a slot for our coins so that once we high alch, that's where the coins go. And then of course you want to leave 1 slot open since you need that for the steel Platebodies. And we're leaving this spot open because, well, when we cast high level alchemy, we're already hovering over the item. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the hardest part. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into this. Let me go ahead and show you where we're going. So from the Grand Exchange, unfortunately we're in free-to-play, so we can't use this tunnel right here. But if we could, you would go through the wilderness ditch right here and simply run north all the way to the top. And over here is where you see the steel Platebody. So once we make it over here, we'll have to navigate the lava maze and then enter this area. So let's do it. Oh, also something that I forgot to mention that I'll be using is one of the plugins in Runescape known as player indicators. In this plugin, you can tick a box that says highlight others. And what this does is on the minimap, if somebody appears, it'll show their name. And it's basically a way to alert you, I guess, a little bit easier than just waiting for a white dot to appear. So yeah, if you want to use that, feel free to. That's what we'll be doing just to help us out a little bit. Also, I gotta say, I really love these tile markers here because they remind me of old videos that I did. This was from the Champions Cape grind that I did I don't know how many years ago, but it's cool to still see that there. But here we are. This is the lava maze. Now if you were doing this in members, it'd be a lot easier to get here because you could simply use a burning amulet and teleport to the lava maze, and then you'd be right here. But just keep in mind that if you are doing it on members worlds, you are opening up yourself to being attacked by people with members gear, which is a lot easier to die from. But I suppose if you just wanted to log into a member's world just to use the teleport here and then switch back to a free-to-play world, you could do that. So here's the maze. We're going to be using the knife that we brought with us to slash. Now, like I said, you could bring armor to up your chances of survival. And for the weapon, you could bring a rune simi. That way you can use it to tear through this and also to fight back against PKers. Now, I was thinking about bringing at least a rune sim to defend ourselves, but more than likely, if we get attacked, it's going to be by people who are using magic and range, so all they have to do is cast Entangle on us, and then we really can't do anything with our rune sim. By the way, there's also Staffs of Earth here, so I don't know, maybe you could also pick that up for money. Or maybe you could do both. Maybe you could pick up the steel Platebody and then use a telekinetic grab to grab that. But here we are. We've made it past all of the dangerous mobs. Well, there is a lesser demon here, but I don't think he'll get close enough to attack us. So, as for the method for this moneymaker, it's very simple. All we're doing here is picking up the steel Platebodies, casting high alchemy on them, and then switching worlds. Something you can do to help you out with this is sort your world list by free-to-play and members. That way, when you're hopping, you don't have to check to see if it's a free-to-play or a members world. It'll just be nothing but free-to-play worlds all lined up perfectly. The free-to-play worlds, if you don't already know, can be shown by the silver star next to the world number, whereas the gold stars are the members-only worlds. And speaking of members-only, you could also do this moneymaker in members, like described earlier, but it's a little more dangerous considering the fact that you're opening up yourself to being attacked with members' items, which have a lot more KO potential. But if you're having a hard time finding a world that actually has a steel plate body on it, like I did, then maybe members' worlds are the way to go. But I feel like if you have membership, there's a bunch of moneymakers that are better than this with less risk. Now, it didn't take very long for me to figure out that this moneymaker isn't the greatest. There were many moments in this video where I had to hop for a very long time before finding another steel plate body. It got so bad to the point where when I finally did find a steel plate body, it felt like I had been doing hundreds of raids and hadn't seen a single item yet, and I had finally received my twisted bow. So yeah, not the greatest moneymaker. All it takes really is for one other person to be doing this moneymaker at the same time, and it's enough to cut down your profits by a pretty huge margin, just because of, well, all the worlds you'll be hopping and not seeing a single plate body. Now, I was doing this on a weekday in the afternoon, so I would imagine that on the weekends it would be even harder, but who knows, you might have better luck than I did. Besides competition from other people and maybe even bots, you do have to worry about the lesser demons for the first few minutes when they do have aggro. They will be hitting you and you will have to run a little bit to switch worlds, which was kind of annoying, but thankfully it does pass once they lose aggro. Another, I guess, downside to this moneymaker is the obvious one. You are in the wilderness, so you are opening up yourself to being attacked by other players. Now, since you are in deep wild, that does open up the amount of people that can attack you, so just be very careful. Yeah, not really the greatest moneymaker, considering that even with the wiki's projected numbers, we're only making like 200 to 300k, and you are risking everything you have on you. So not only are you losing the items that you have on you, but you're also losing time because it does take quite a while to come back to this spot. And because of that, that's probably why you'll want to stay here for at least an hour. Anything less just doesn't seem worth it for the amount of money you get and the time that it takes to run back to this spot. Now, there is a different moneymaker or a different way of approaching this moneymaker, and that's just to collect a full inventory of steel plate bodies and then go and bank them and come back. Now, while that is technically safer since you're not risking as much, you'll be getting far less because you're having to run to and from the spot after every inventory. So yeah, I think the high alching is the way to go. Of course, it's more risk, but I mean, it's easier to just stay here than having to run back and forth. Now, something that you'll notice is that there is a nice little yellow loot beam above the item. I just used the Alt key. I held it down and then marked it on the ground with Runelight, and it shot a nice little loot beam up into the sky. And that was just so that I could see it a little bit easier whenever I was hopping worlds. I hopped so many worlds without seeing a single steel plate body that I was worried that I was just going to get into the groove of hopping worlds, even if there was a steel plate body there for me. So having that loot beam there just helped me see it better. It's also important to note that I did have all the skill total worlds unlocked and they were still missing steel plate bodies, so they don't really help you out too much here. And with the amount of people that seem to be doing this moneymaker at the same time, I couldn't help but think how much more profitable it would be to actually PK the people that are here, so that's something to think about. But with that being said, we are approaching the end of this 1 hour, so let's go ahead and take a look at the total cash stack after 1 hour of high alching these steel plate bodies in the wilderness. Alrighty, so after 1 hour of collecting steel plate bodies and casting high alch on them, we are left with 224,400 GP. I guess that's okay. It's a lot more than what I was expecting. The first few minutes of this moneymaker weren't looking too good. I was fully expecting to go the entire 1 hour without finding any steel plate bodies, but you know, we managed to find a few. So as for the total profit for this moneymaker, if we take into account the cost of supplies, which was the cost of the nature runes and the teleport runes, we have 25,572 GP. Subtract that from the money we made, which was 224,400 GP. That gives us a grand total profit of 198,828 GP. So almost 200k an hour. Now, I gotta say, this is more than what I was expecting after the first few minutes of not finding any steel plates. But in terms of moneymakers in free-to-play, there's better options. There's options, I think, with even less requirements, because this does require you to have 55 magic for high alchemy. And those other moneymakers don't require you to be in the wilderness competing with other people / bots. and having to worry about getting PK'd. So yeah, definitely much better options. But if you do manage to find a quiet day where you're the only person doing this, this has the potential to have some pretty nice rewards. But yeah, for right now, not really working out too well. I just want to say thanks for checking out the video, and thank you to all of my channel members, with a special thanks to ACR Beans. Once again, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next episode.